Hey, Pastor Mark here. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great week. I want to bring you a word of encouragement this week. And it starts with something that I realized from my boys. See, 2 weeks ago, after church was over, we were walking out of the building, and my friend Jeff had this really heavy bag on his shoulder, and he wanted to see if my boys could carry it. So he takes it off his shoulder and he hands it to my son Gavin, and Gavin says, no problem, I got this, I can carry it, it's really not that heavy. And as Gavin grabs the handle, he's like jerked to the ground really, really quickly. And then Elijah's there, and Elijah's like, oh, Gavin, you're weak, I got this. And so Elijah tries to pick it up, and he's straining, and he can't do it, and the bag was just too heavy. And then they both look at each other, and they said, I guess we're just too weak. And then they were really disappointed by the fact that they were so weak that they couldn't pick up the bag. Maybe you feel like sometimes that you're just too weak to accomplish what it is God has set in front of you. Maybe it's your marriage, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your job, maybe it's a relationship that just isn't going the way you thought it, whether it's a friendship relationship or something else. Sometimes trouble comes and we feel as though we're too weak to handle what's in front of us. The good news is this. There's a missionary evangelist named Hudson Taylor. He's long since passed on, but before he passed, he made this observation in the Bible where he said all of God's giants were weak people. You see, a lot of times we think that God reserves the greatest and most significant tasks for the strongest people. But the reality is God doesn't recruit his followers from the peaks, the best of the best. In fact, when you read the Bible, God actually recruits from the pits. For instance, Moses was considered to be a man of God, but Moses' weakness was his temper. Time and time again, Moses would lose his temper. His temper led him to kill an Egyptian. His temper led him to breaking the original stone tablets that God wrote the Ten Commandments on when he saw the Israelites sinning. And his temper also led him when God had specifically told Moses to speak to a rock. Moses instead hit the rock. But later in Moses' life, in the book of Numbers chapter 12, it said that God made Moses the humblest man on earth. Gideon is another weak man that God used in some pretty incredible ways. Gideon's weakness was that it was a man full of insecurities and deep sense that he just wasn't enough to accomplish the task. But in the book of Judges, God calls him a mighty man of valor. Abraham's weakness was his fear. On 2 different occasions, he was afraid for his life because his wife was so beautiful that he told his wife to act as though she was his sister. Later on, though, God calls Abraham the father of those who have faith. God uses weak people in pretty amazing ways. God used the impulsive, weak-willed Peter, and he became the rock. And we know that God used the adulterer David to become a man after God's own heart. And we know that God took the arrogant son of thunder, John, and he became the disciple whom Jesus loved. God does this all throughout the Bible. He takes weak people and he uses them for his amazing purpose. Check this out. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 through 10, Paul, the guy that wrote the book of 2 Corinthians, talks about a weakness he had. He calls it a thorn in his flesh. And he says that God said this to him in reference to his thorn, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Paul's response to what Jesus told him is, therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I'm weak, then I'm strong. You see, a lot of the things that we think are strengths are actually weaknesses, because strength breeds independence. Weakness breeds community. We are better when we're in community with God, when we're in community with other believers. We're better when we're with others. Strength breeds independence, weakness breeds community. I don't know what your weaknesses are, and I don't know what you perceive to be your flaws, but a lot of times it's not your strength that God is looking to call you for. A lot of times it's your weaknesses that he's going to work through you, that he's going to increase his power in your life, and he's going to do some amazing things in and through you, not because you're strong, but because you're weak. Because when we are weak, then we're strong. Then we realize the need that we have for Christ to be in us, to work through us at all times. I hope that's a word of encouragement for you this week. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.